every insurance company has started to invest. Every insurance company has started to open up physical offices.
Penetration as premium as a percentage of GDP, the numbers don't tell you the entire story.
Usually technology or digital distribution is seen as efficiency.
Technology and digital, that will push the needle. A very good morning to all the listeners here and the guests, and a very good morning to all the panelists here. Mr. Rao is joining us. Yes, sir, please. No, it's okay. So, the general insurance sector, I mean, as the regulator said, the vision of the IRDA is insurance for all by 2047, where every citizen has an appropriate life, health, and a property insurance cover. The regulator, the insurance regulator, has been extremely proactive in supporting growth of the sector. His objective is ease of doing business, and as a result, he has simplified a lot of regulations, which is extremely conducive and creating a conducive environment for the general insurance sector. At the same time, on the issue of penetration, the needle has not moved much. So, as an opening remarks, I would like to request all the panelists to share their views, what needs to be done to increase the penetration, move the needle on penetration. So, Mr. Tyagi, if you can start.
Thank you very much for calling us here. It's obviously a great show as I see it outside, and the topics that you are touching on are very, very relevant. So, coming to the penetration issue, the general insurance, or rather the insurance penetration issue that the country faces. So, if you see, there's a lot which has happened in the past few years. Starting from the regulator giving freedom to the insurance industry to design products which are bespoke. Now, what were we doing previously? The products that we will sell in the urban market, those are the products we would also try and sell in the rural market also. We couldn't have designed bespoke products, so regulator has kind of freed up, given the elbow room to the industry. In these past few years, the distribution framework is also changing, and all the insurance companies, most of the insurance companies have also, now also have very, very advanced digital distribution tools. You already have regulators, under the 2047 Insurance for All by 2047 vision, you already have regulator allocating various states to the insurance companies. Now, what it does is that in a particular state, for me, say Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, that state is led by HDFC Ergo. As far as the creating awareness, bringing in affordable products, and making the products more accessible to the state citizens is concerned. So we kind of take the lead. Now imagine all insurance companies between life and non-life adopting all the states in the country. So suddenly you've kind of created these small units where an insurance company can go and focus target, right? Now, all of this has happened in past few years. So from a stage where we were very, very limited in terms of what we could have done in product designing and how you reach and how you go to the customers, to a stage where we can now design very specific products, and we now have a very specific area which is the state in which we will work. So I think each one of these will start showing the green shoots very, very soon. And last but not the least, when you heard Mr. Chairman speaking about Bima Sugam, what he couldn't speak, I think, in the conversation was Bima Vahak.
Right.
I think the entire Bima Trinity is going to change the landscape of insurance. Now, imagine our, women selling small ticket insurance, very relevant insurance, comprehensive insurance, right? You have life, non-life, you have life, asset, health, everything in one, using digital tools. So they will, instead of me trying to find out where to buy insurance from, they will come to me and tell me, these are the products, and I could conclude the transaction there and then. So I think have patience, wait for some more time. The groundwork has been done. We see the green shoots, and I'm very, very sure very soon the distribution, the penetration, insurance penetration landscape will look different.
So you're hopeful that the green shoots will be visible soon?
Of course. In my opinion, the green shoots are already visible. You look at the insurance companies in every state. Every insurance company has started to invest. Every
Correct.
insurance company has started to open up physical offices. Insurance companies have started to recruit Bima Wahaks, or at least, identify the
process has
cohort.
started.
Of course, it has started.
Mr. Rao, what's your take on this?
So I think Anuj has covered all the initiatives, but I just wanted to ask, make some first principle points or raise some first principle questions. So look at the period between say FY14 to FY23.
Right.
Right. In that period, our population grew by about less than 11%, around 10%, 10 point something.
Population, okay.
Yeah. In that same period, the number of new policies tripled.
Okay.
All right. Now, if I look at data for the last 7 years, and unfortunately I don't have data, rich enough data to go back, but in the last 7 years, the average ticket size per policy has gone up by just 1.3%.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at, penetration as premium as a percentage of GDP, the numbers don't tell you the entire story, because I think the more relevant number is cover.
Cover.
And I suspect cover has gone up significantly. Now, look, I mean, if you've tripled the number of new customers in the same period where population has gone up by just 10%, and the CAGR on insurance premium is just 1.3%. I mean, motor insurance, all of us in the audience are familiar with, but then those rates have stayed stagnant for the longest time. I mean, they've not gone up. You look at crop, for example, the rates have actually dropped, if I look at the recent past. So I would actually ask that fundamental question, that is it right to look at insurance penetration only as premium as a percentage of GDP? Because that clearly doesn't tell you the entire story, because what should we be concerned with is the quantum of cover. And I think that's not really getting reflected in the way we look at measuring the metrics of penetration. If I have to use another example, you look at telecom in India. Indian tariffs are among the lowest in the world, right?
Right.
It is the lowest in the world. It's cheaper than even Afghanistan and Bangladesh,
Right.
But in case you were to compare penetration in this country while looking at telecom revenues as a percentage of GDP, you'll probably say India is under-penetrated, but that's far from true, because our penetration levels in telecom are good. I mean, they're and if you look at the data, consumption is growing at a CAGR of over 40%.
But don't you think on penetration we have a long way to go?
Of course, you have a long way to go, but I'm just saying that to believe that the penetration is low because we look at a metric, I think that metric is limited.
Okay.
So that is the point I'm making. And obviously, Anuj spoke about a lot of things, and a lot of initiatives which the government has taken, which the regulator has taken. I mean, the Bima Trinity and, state-level insurance plan, all that is great. Obviously, reduction of compliance burden, letting us innovate, quicker product approvals. Actually, I joke that, it's quicker getting, and it's not a joke, it's a fact. We take longer than the regulator does when it comes to product. I mean, our IT development takes longer than it takes for us to, get going with the regulator in most cases.
Right.
So, I mean, honestly, especially under this regime, the changes have been far-reaching. I mean, there's been a lot of momentum put behind growth. All that has definitely happened. But I just want all of us to sit down and question, is penetration really as bad as we make it out to be? I don't think, in case you look at it from the dynamic of cover, it's true.
Right. Yes, Mr. Das.
So first of all, truly honored to be part of the panel and participating in this summit. I think Anuj and Anup have covered what are the initiatives regulator has taken. Chairman sir touched upon on those points. I'll add, I think, one aspect. We discussed this in a couple of other forums also. We are imagining, I think the question is in the line of that, as an ecosystem, we are imagining to cover whole Indian population by 2047, right?
Correct.
Insurance for all by 2047. If you think about this journey of next 23, 24 years, and we take a milestone of another 12 years, which is halfway down the line.
Correct.
Most of the decision makers at home will be people who are born after internet.
Right.
So I think one leg where there's a catch-up going on. I think insurance industry is anyways catching up. Maybe banking world, telecom world has taken a lead when we compare different ecosystems. But I think the digital innovation, which the industry has to do, there are a lot of companies who are doing a great job. We can still catch up, but I think the lens which we apply here is that usually technology or digital distribution is seen as efficiency, And instead of efficiency, somewhere it has to be in the core as well, right? So this is an additional point. I think Anuj, Anu both covered that there are great initiatives, and this is something which we appreciated, Chairman Sir, also, that there's something which was not happening, at least in the insurance ecosystem, where the whole focus of state-level insurance plan, or be it the ease of the convenience of doing business with product approval timelines. I think these things are very, very useful, and these are the fundamental pillars to kind of build on top of it. But on top of it, I think creating sharp digital framework on how to kind of reach out to the new audience, the millennial audience, which is coming up, I think that's an additional point.
Technology and digital, that will push the needle. But Mr. Rao, the chairman has also said, recently, that the non-life insurance industry, the premium is about 2.9 lakh crore FY24. He wanted it to go up to 11 lakh crore. By when you think that's possible?
So look, if you look at the insurance industry, if you look at the last decade, it's grown by about 12.5%. So, sorry, those numbers about 2.9 lakh crores and 11 lakh crores. So basically, in case you got to double it twice, in case you want to compound at say 14%, 15% a year, which I think is possible, you're talking about under a decade that we should get to that number. In case we do nothing, dramatic, I mean, and we continue to do slightly better than how we've been doing historically, I think we should get there in about a decade. But with the initiatives that which have been taken, and I'm especially optimistic about the Trinity, the Bima Sugam, the Bima Bhag, and the state-level insurance. I mean, we have the state of Sikkim, for instance, and I must confess that we didn't have presence there until we were allocated the state, right? So it's obviously significantly, moved the needle for us as a company also. So I think that you can easily crash that by a few years. So, I mean, if you do nothing at all, you're just talking about a decade. But I think hard to hazard a guess, but then I would say that we can crash it by about 3 years at least, maybe about 7 years. But I can't put numbers behind it, but then it would mean that, we got to grow at about 20% CAGR.
Right.
It's not going to happen in linear terms, but then I do expect that, maybe in a couple of years, you will see a exponential jump once, as Chairman pointed out, that once all this is linked to the digital stack, people get used to it, there's greater acceptance, the ecosystem is built and starts delivering. I think, you'll see a kicker maybe 2 years from now massively. But yeah, but I think that number is not very far-fetched.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, the Bima Trinity, will it help in reducing the distribution cost?
By design, it should help in reduction of distribution cost. But more than the distribution cost, and that's that was not never the prime objective of Bima Sugam. The prime objective was to make insurance accessible very easily. It was to make insurance very, very transparent. And to bring in, imagine a platform, it's the, and I don't know if I'm allowed to use the brand names here, but it's the Amazon of insurance, right? You will have buyer, seller, service provider, distributor, customer, all on one platform. Where else in the world have you seen a transparency of this degree? Now, when you have a transparency of this degree, I would suspect, Manojit, the reduction in distribution cost should automatically come, because customer will know what he or she is paying for, and distributors will have the benefit of law of large numbers. Right. So I think that's a very natural phenomenon arising out of Bima Sugam, but that was never the prime objective as I said.
Right. Now I will briefly touch upon the health insurance angle. Post-COVID, we have seen significant growth in the health insurance policies and premiums, but affordability remains a pressing concern. Mr. Das, what is your view on that? What are the strategies we can make that health insurance become more affordable, accessible?
No, I think the point which Anuj also mentioned, I think few of these initiatives, once we bring that transparency, and I think one more outcome will be the efficiency of distribution, right? So once you have efficiency of distribution, there's a cost saving, there's a economic viability of the company and the ecosystem altogether, and that allows you to pass on more benefit to the consumers,
Correct.
which creates the affordability of the product, right? So it's a global thing which will happen once you open up more distribution, more efficient way of reaching out to the consumers. That'll happen. I think on the core markets, where the insurance penetration is decent, the presence is already out there. I think the focus should be, and I still believe that from a health insurance point of view or few of the other product line as well, I think market is still setting up how things will work out. There's still distribution growth possibility. So efficiency is still catching up, and that will help insurance companies to create products affordable way. One of the thing which is, I'm just sharing across our own experience, we are a relatively new player in terms of retail health world. We have seen that when we are distributing product directly to the users in some sense, that efficiency helps us to create products which are more, if I can use, not simple. And when you create those simple product out to the user and not add any complexity to the product, there are ways to price them in a sharper way and make it more affordable. At the same time, I think there's more focus in terms of creating products which are as per the needs, instead of creating just one single product and fit all. I think that's a lens the whole industry applies. There are a few industry leaders who are already doing that job. So customized product, how can you create product which are more data driven? I think that also aids to affordability altogether. So there have been focus both ways. I think, like we discussed, there are first principle thought process from a regulatory point of view also, that you have to create products which are very convenient for the users at the time of buying as well, at the time of claims as well. There has to be very sharp underwriting. When you have very sharp underwriting, you obviously save on the leakages,
Right.
you save on the frauds, and then you have an overall saving of the pool, and that helps you to pass on the benefit to the genuine user. I think all these efficiency areas is where everyone has to focus on and pass on the benefit to the genuine end users.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, there's a lot of discussion going on the GST rates, whether that should come. GST.
Yeah.
Do you think reduction in GST will make the products more affordable? Will the insurers pass on the benefit to the customers?
And I assume you're specifically talking through the lens of health insurance.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I think you're right. Obviously, as the tax on health insurance policies will go down, suddenly the policy will start to look more lucrative. But that's just one element of it. And if I may just also kind of breach into the question that you asked, Animesh, and mine is a build up on that. The affordability of health insurance in the country, there are, in my opinion, 3 or 4 fundamental aspects. One is, if you ask in this room how many people have their own individual policy, I can challenge very few raise of hands you will see. So the issue is, at what age do the customers want to come and buy a health insurance policy, right? So today, what I have as an insurance ecosystem is a aging population in health insurance. And it is no-brainer that as we all age, the probability to fall sick increases. And obviously then so what you have, what we call in insurance parlance is the anti-selected lot. The moment you have the denominator increasing, when more and more young people come into the insurance space, the premiums are automatically bound to fall. The fact is, medical inflation is increasing. Now, for an insurance company to give that peace of mind to the customer that I'm insured, I can sleep easy, the insurance company will take care of me, it has to be appropriately priced. So that's one part of it. On top of it, you have the GST. Right. Now, the moment you say, okay, this part you can't obviously, flag the entire country in one day and say, go buy insurance. It'll take its own time. And we also have to create awareness, bring in simple products, so on and so forth. But at least at the moment you say the GST has come down on insurance policy, suddenly the perceived affordability of the product starts looking better. So I'm sure it'll do better. And I'm sure you would have noticed at least for the senior citizen, there has been an amendment as far as the tax is concerned. It will certainly have an impact on making the health insurance more affordable.
Right. Mr. Rao, what is your prescription? How to make health insurance more accessible?
I think accessibility, the question has been addressed. I mean, with a bunch of initiatives. Again, the second, which the regulator has taken. But again, on affordability, I just want to touch upon this. I mean, have we compared health insurance premiums in India to the rest of the world? I mean, we make a sweeping generalization that, I mean, should it be made affordable, more affordable? Of course it should be. But, I don't understand where this comes from that, insurance premiums in India are not affordable. I mean, if anything, they're among the cheapest in the world again. I mean, and I think a lot of us don't celebrate that enough or understand that enough. So my question, first of all, is that on what basis are we saying that health insurance premiums are high? Because I think implied in that question when you say when it can be made affordable is that it's unaffordable today. Now, if your question it can be made more affordable, yes. I think the way it can be made affordable is obviously a bunch of factors. But I just want to draw attention to one thing on GST, which you asked earlier. Look, the thing about GST is that eventually, what is GST being used for? It's being used for by the government to provide insurance, right? And, that money is being used because, there are state-level insurance plans, by state governments and the central government to provide cover. Great. I think the question to be answered here is that, would you rather have GST taken off and improve penetration through the private sector? Or would you rather use the GST collection to in turn give insurance as a state to people? My hypothesis is that in case you were to let the private, the existing players, private and public, suppose you were to help enable their penetration by removing GST and thereby making it more affordable, I think that's a more effective way of dealing with penetration.
Okay.
Right? Because eventually that's going to be a more effective mechanism. The government obviously, should set the framework, set the playing field, and be on side of the consumer, as always, to make sure that the consumers are taken care of. If there's a claim and they're treated fairly, appropriately. But I don't. I would rather have the GST benefit. By benefit, I mean being taken off and insurance being made more affordable, rather than the government using that to provide insurance themselves. I mean, it's a classic story of state versus private enterprise. I think that's the lens we should wear while looking at this.
But reduction in GST, will it make more affordable?
It is significant. It is 18%. I mean, it's not a small number. It'll have a significant impact on the
So you will
affordability.
pass on the benefits?
Look, at the end of the day, I'm not taking the benefit today, right? I mean, the fact is there's no benefit we are getting. There's a premium plus 18% the customer pays. I don't charge at 18%. It's that simple as that. We are just a pass-through mechanism.
Right.
It's not that we keep that. But the benefit will obviously go to the customer.
Right. That's great to hear. You want to add something on this?
No, I'm just saying a simple thing. For first look for the consumer will go down, right? So if I'm just taking an example, a 25,000 rupees insurance premium, the landing cost, because that's the money which is going to get deducted, right? It's come down to 23,000 something because the GST being reduced from, let's say, an 18 to 12 or 5 or something. First look for the consumer will go down, right? So it'll make affordable, right? It'll look affordable to the user that the price has gone down, right? So if that's couple of thousand difference, which customer sees, makes a lot of sense.
Right. The other issue which has been discussed, and I think insurance companies have also made representations on the issue, is that value-added services. So what are your thoughts on that, Mr. Tyagi? How important are value-added services for the insurance companies?
I think the next wave of insurance expansion, in my personal opinion, will certainly come when the value-added services have become an integral part of insurance offering. Now, look at it, at least through my lens for a moment. Home insurance. Now, what value-added services do, and with due respect to the purist, insurance purist, it will commoditize insurance. And you look across the industries go through a different expansion curve the moment it is commoditized. Now, what it does today, home insurance is a huge, area of concern for insurance industry because it is underpenetrated.
Right.
It's more than underpenetrated. That still is an understatement because there is no home insurance practically in the country. Now, supposing you say, the moment you say that there is value-added services, what can I do? What is my approach today? I'll come to you and say, Manojit, please buy a home insurance. You'll say, yeah, okay, I'll look at it some other day. Tomorrow, I can actually come and create a complete ecosystem of home services around you, and will say, along with home insurance, Manojit, I'll also possibly can take care of your your home automation security. I can possibly take care of your, home electrical devices maintenance. Imagine all this. So suddenly the insurance, you buy health insurance. I can do very little in terms of managing your wellness ecosystem today. I could do it all tomorrow. I could ensure that Manojit goes to the gym every day because I will start weaving in the benefits to give him, weaving in those benefits so that I can pass on those benefits to you in insurance premium. I could create a complete web of services for you around your motor insurance. So suddenly you are saying that insurance, which today is seen as a push product, from a push product, I think it's a transformation where it will start becoming a pull product. For all you know, there will be a set of customers who will not buy insurance because they're buying insurance, but they'll start buying insurance because they will get value-added services along with it, right? So I think and industry today has reached at the maturity where it can handle value-added services without compromising on the risk, because ultimately we are the risk carriers. So it is just the right time for the entire ecosystem to talk about value-added services. And I am personally very excitingly waiting for value-added services to come in the insurance space.
Yes, please.
So I just wanted to add, look, the thing is that generally as a rule, there are exceptions, but generally as a rule, high-frequency claim products are sold more easily than low-frequency ones, generally as a rule. Okay. Yeah, it's a different matter that low-frequency claim products probably are more for the distributor and therefore they're pushed harder, but generally that's the principle. What's the problem with low-frequency products such as home insurance is that, you experience it, if at all, once in 20, 30 years. So there is no stickiness to that product. What VAS does, or value-added services does, is that it helps you experience the product every single day instead of waiting for that claim to happen. So in that sense, it ensures that the person stays covered for a long period of time. So it improves retention of the customer, which is extremely important. I mean, you've acquired the customer, you've got him or her on board. Now, whether she stays or not is going to be a function of, a lot of factors. And one factor is frequency of claim. And after 3-4 years, the lady might just say that, to hell with this, I don't want this product anymore. So I think VAS helps that customer experience that product on a more frequent basis, and therefore the stickiness improves. I think that's a very important factor, which is something which the insurance industry requires.
So, Manoj, I'm sorry, on a lighter note, insurance is a product where the seller doesn't want buyer to use this product, experience this product. And at the same time, even buyer does not want to experience this product. So I think the point that Anup has made is very relevant. Neither the buyer nor the seller want to use this product, and value-added services will at least start bringing in that user experience there. Who wants to have his car knocked down, and also at the same time, the insurance company does not want anybody's car to get knocked down. So VAS will certainly bring in that experience.
So Mr. Das, value-added services, need of the hour?
No, 100%. I think the lens which Anup shared is very relevant. The engagement with the consumer, and specifically so for insurance product, home insurance, health insurance, you'll interact with the insurance company once in 5 years, once in 10 years, or maybe never in a lifetime also possibly, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I think there are very good examples anyways, right? The banking world, if you see the bank products, credit card coming up with any of, like, let's allow, and these are successful example. I'm saying lounge access of credit card or anything else, right? These were built on top of the original financial products, right? So there are successful example in Indian market. 100% makes sense.
Right. Again, I briefly come to the health insurance aspect. There was an idea mooted that common empanelment with hospitals, which has not really taken off. What's exactly the issue, Mr. Tyagi, on that?
I think, Manoj, see, this is one initiative which I'm extremely proud of as an industry. Because here is a perfect example where every player in the general insurance industry and health insurance industry comes together and says, let's create, irrespective of where the customer goes, which hospital the customer goes, we will provide cashless. And this also kind of ties in with the larger industry vision of 100% cashless to customers. We created the network, we launched it. We obviously, if a particular hospital is not on the cashless network of an insurance company, the user give 48 hours advance notice, and we bring in the customers. I think where we have slightly faltered again is in creating awareness about it.
Awareness.
Awareness. We have not propagated it the way we ought to have done, other than the initial, and frankly, I think even media has not captured it the way it should have been captured, to be very honest. I mean, it's one noble initiative which brings the financial load on an insured on day one. Why go to a reimbursement route? Go to cashless across the country, anywhere. So I think we will need to continue to follow up on that. We continue to answer the question in one sentence, the issue is still awareness. The customer still does not know that they can go to any hospital and get themselves treated. So we continue to, and I'm sure all the other insurance companies continue to make their channel aware, make the customer aware. And I think, in my opinion, the media should also continue to bring in those bites in whichever form and fashion that go and make use of the cashless everywhere. It's a very noble initiative. There is absolutely no other problem.
Mr. Rao, what do you think?
I think, yeah, obviously, I mean, I think awareness is one factor from a consumer point of view. The second is that these initiatives take time. I think there's a lot of communication which needs to flow with greater frequency, and then, look, some of these initiatives take their own time. I mean, you do have the hockey stick, right? I mean, things start slowly and then they pick up. I think it's also, look, anything very revolutionary, very new, very unprecedented takes its own time. So I think that's another factor, but I think Anuj has addressed those points. I think it's also a question of how much time it takes besides the fact that there's a consumer awareness issue.
Right. The other consumer issue is the issue of claim settlement. IRDA has also raised this issue. There's a big grievance on claim settlement from general insurers. So, Mr. Das, how can insurers address the concern?
No, I think this is the core of our job, and there should not be any leeway, there should not be any discount to any of the insurance company not giving the benefit to the users. So I think there's no doubt that how should we be very sharp on these things. One piece is where chairmen sir also discuss that this is the moment of truth, and there's a lot of regulation where how do we keep a track of the claims and the benefits which are supposed to be passed to the consumers are being followed. So that's from a regulatory point of view, I think there's sharpness in terms of how these things should be followed. And second, from an insurance company point of view also, I think this is my personal view, maybe not representing industry comprehensively, but it's very important to sharply underwrite and have very efficient process to onboard the users. You should end up asking most of the question at the time of onboarding itself, so that there's no corner cutting at the time of claim, and the claim process is pretty much smooth. So again, maybe I'm saying a slightly controversial point, but I think it's the other way around today. So you create the sales process very smooth, you get people in, but at the time of claim, there's a lot of checking, right? So it has to be flipped altogether. You should onboard the users correctly, very sharply, and make sure that when you are giving the claims, it is very smooth and no question asked sort of, right? So that's one principle. I think industry is anyways evolving. What we have learned, I'll just give one important point. I think the one thing which has helped us is if the onboarding is very data driven and you are able to pick and choose the right segment at a right price, it is comfortable to kind of give the claim easily, right? And that has helped us a lot. But apart from that, I think in general, there's been overhauling in terms of how the claim process works. I think this industry is doing a decent job. I think most of the, see, one very important thing to understand is insurance as a sector. We touched upon on multiple other issues which we face as a sector, but insurance as a sector, whenever there's a claim, the consumer is not in a happy state. Someone who has met accident will claim, someone who has lost something will claim, right? So that state itself is not very happy for anyone. So there'll always be, I'll not say artificial, there'll always be an organic grievance, right, out there. Because in that case, even a slight mistake from the insurance company will just compound to the sadness in some sense, right? So the by default state of mind when the insurance company and the customers are interacting is not happy, right? So somewhere that further pushes the insurance sector to do a greater job and kind of cover that gap and try to give back to the user in a sharp manner. So that's what we face as an insurance sector, but I think we can do a way better job.
Mr. Taggi, tell us two things which insurance companies, general insurance companies do to address this grievance on claim settlement.
So let's just look at what, first of all, I think we haven't, I again come back to this, we haven't done a good job of promoting the right information to the customer set. And I'll just take you to the unfortunate COVID days. The industry paid 25,000 crores of claims. Maybe one claim, 100 claim wrongly handled creates that noise in the ecosystem. We haven't gone and propagated that industry at the same time as has also saved millions of lives of families from going into bankruptcy. So that's clearly one. Look at the crop claims in the country today. The smoothness, the ease with which the crop claims are paid, it is unprecedented. We don't go and propagate. So we haven't also done a good job of telling the customer and bringing and getting them confident that don't worry, the insurance companies do play. What are the rejection rates today? It's very early single percentage point rejection rates. That can happen. What we also forget, and everybody forgets then, and I'm not saying, I mean, ideally, not even one claim should get stuck, due to process delays. But we also forget, Manojit, the fraud in the ecosystem.
Correct.
Right? Now, I don't want to even give those numbers because those percentages are scary. The fraud in health insurance and the fraud in motor insurance, the percentages are scary. I also have to manage that because if I start paying every fraud claim, you can't imagine what will happen. I'll price everything end of the day. You can't imagine what will happen to the premiums, right? So the insurance company, before settling a claim, also has to establish whether it's a fraud claim, whether it's not a fraud claim. And in the entire value chain, I don't know who can be the fraudster. It can be A, B, C, D. I have to assess every participant of the value chain to then find out that it's a genuine claim, pay. The good thing is, industry is using technology to do it in a seamless manner. In spite of assessing all these A, B, C, D across the country, across the zone, across the pin code, my cashless turnaround time is 34 minutes. My reimbursement payment times is a couple of days, right? There would still be some claim. Now, what happens is if I smell some fraud in some claim, I will do investigation, that gets delayed. So I think the industry, look, I go back to, I take a few steps back. The industry has a very genuine intent to ensure that every customer gets their dues in time, right? We have to address some of these nuisance factors. The people, every citizen of the country gets extremely scared if the check bounces, right? Nobody gets scared lodging a previous 2 years back dent claim in motor along with a new claim. That's fraud. Nobody gets scared if a pre-existing disease is covered in a policy and then going to the hospital, because we don't have any legal mechanism, legal protection for an insurance company against this fraud.
No, I understand fraud is an issue, but do you think it's a valid concern, claim settlement, the grievances on claim settlement?
Of course it will be. I am not saying that 100% of the customers are being serviced with the, I was trying to explain why in times it happens. Insurance companies also have to improve their processes. The level of technology in claim assessment as it should have been there, it's not there in all the insurance companies. It will certainly, there is a lot that we have to also do.
Right.
But we will also get our processes, our efforts also get a fillip. Then when we also get support in accessing this big nuisance factor across it.
Right.
Sometimes, and last point, and my colleagues should also speak. Most of the time, a lot of times when a so-called delay in hospital discharge, which is the end of the claim chain, when it comes to the blame of insurance company, that the insurance companies take a lot of time to approve and the hospital discharge gets delayed. You go to the root of it. Hospitals' own processes take 3 hours for discharge. Insurance companies would have approved, the discharge in less than that, but their own process will take that time. It comes to the blame of insurance company because obviously nobody can go and find it out. So it's not as simple, but to answer the point, 100% every customer's claim should be paid in a jiffy without any delay. And more technology, as more technology come into fore, things will become more and more simpler. We already have come a long way.
Mr. Rao, you want to add?
No, not really. I mean, I think, look, I mean, in case you were to look at the industry level data, I just want to make one point. If you look at, the loss ratios, they're in excess of 100%. So for every 100 rupees of premium we collect, we pay close to 105 in claims. Okay, this includes private sector peers. I think the private sector is slightly better, but that's also in excess of 95%. So obviously, I mean, we do whatever we can to make sure that the customer is paid. And I think Anuj has been very eloquent. I think he's raised a lot of points. But I mean, that's one thing which I just wanted to add. I think from a product demand point of view, I think despite all that the regulator has done to enable that, I don't think we have done enough in terms of innovation as an industry. Of course, I mean, some of us are modular products wherein people can pick and choose what they want and, or gender specific or covering comprehensive. But I think we also need to, besides, better communication, making a case for the industry, I think we also need to better communicate with the customer in terms of what the offerings are. I mean, I'm not directly dealing with your question on claims, but I think, basically more suitable products, more customized could be one way to approach deepening and widening the market both for the customer. And yeah, but then I think in case you want to look at I think I would encourage everyone to just look at the kind of, if people say that we're taking premiums and not paying, that's not true, because I mean, it's almost like sometimes shareholders ask that question that, basically the question is that how much loss making is this business? Is it less or more?
Right. Yeah. We have few minutes, so we can take a couple of questions. Is anyone there? Yes, gentlemen. Kindly introduce yourself and please keep the question brief.
Thank you everyone for such an insightful session. Thank you to Business Standard as well. I am Gajendra Singh. My question is that, we are talking about customizing the solution based on the, individual's lifestyle as well as habits. Okay, this is I believe that now everything is data driven. So how the companies are, kind of by looking at the lifestyle of a person, like, if somebody is going to a gymnasium or if it's a marathon runner or, some cycler, so his lifestyle is very healthy. So he should be given some benefit. Similarly, if somebody's office is nearby and he goes to car to 2 to 3 kilometers and somebody is traveling 50 kilometers by car and somebody is a rash driver, can be a rash driver as well. So how, you're tracking something like to differentiate the premium for these two kind of set of people as far as health insurance is concerned and as far as
what is the
motor
question?
insurance.
Yeah.
So question is very specific that, based on the lifestyle and the kind of risk one person is having. So are you kind of planning to customize the premium in the time to come?
Yeah,
or
please.
have you initiated anything so far?
So there are already products in the market, and in the times to come, you will see more and more such propositions to come out. So there are already products where the premium discounts are given based on, how do you lead a lifestyle. So data comes through the variables to insurance company. And there are products on motor which are called pay as you drive. So that kind of addresses the need that you're talking about. You will see more and more these products to come in the market, and that's where also when the value-added services come, these products will become more. But even today, these products are there in the market.
Yes, please.
Igar Doshi. Sir, we need to introduce some product for senior citizen because it is a very used market, and nowadays most of private companies, they are denying to give insurance for a senior citizen after 70. So we need to think about that also.
Is there a feedback or a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a feedback also, and it is for this improvement also.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed. You want to address something?
No, that's it. But I believe all of us have products for senior citizens, including us. So we do have those products. At least today. I can speak about today. I'm sorry. So there are products available for senior citizens, but if your feedback is that there should be more comprehensive, wider coverage, so on and so forth, I mean, we can't speak for the industry as a whole, but then I know that a lot of companies do offer products for the senior citizens.
Yeah, I think a couple of points. Chairman sir also covered that. There are certain segments on which there's a new circular come up, which where the industry is kind of coming up with newer products for specific segments. And I think there's a new initiative also from government side where anyone more than 70 age is covered under Ayushman Bharat. So I think few of these initiatives are already under plan. You will see more products for these cohorts or these segments going forward.
Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of this discussion. Please, big round of applause for the panelists.